Hello, everyone. It's a Friday morning, and wow, the weather is going to be wild for the next couple of days. Already has been. Take a look at this visible satellite loop as it reveals itself from IR to visible as the sun rises. That's what that sweep is across the screen, the college page. Wonderful products that you have. Anyway, look at that very dynamic swirl in Minnesota. That thing is tightly wound up. You can just literally see the jet stream winds pounding in right between these two cloud systems, right here, punching out drier, more stable air. Meanwhile, we have this activity here, which is ongoing, but this entire zone right here is a hot spot for severe weather for later today, and we'll show you those outlooks. Let's take a look at how yesterday performed, so to speak. So here are the tornado reports for the last 24 hours. This thunderstorm area, these squall line got quite interesting here in Michigan. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the tornado reports are more forthcoming out there. Meanwhile, we had one in Illinois, and it was basically an arc of thunderstorms that did something like this. But we had tornado reports all the way back into western Minnesota, closer to the core of the cold air loft. And then this squall line here was pretty active with lots of warnings along it yesterday afternoon, basically. So here are the hail reports. If it's yellow or green, it's 1 to 2 inches. We have a couple of reports over 2-inch hail down there in Illinois. Looks like one there right around Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And this did turn into a wind machine, so we had numerous gusts over 60 miles per hour. If it's a darker red, it's 70 mile per hour winds. There's a 76 mile per hour wind gust. These are measured in southeastern portions of Michigan, and also some pretty good wind gusts there south of I-80 in northern Illinois. Now, what's going to happen with thunderstorms over the next 42 hours? This low is stacked. That means the surface low is right beneath the upper level low, so it's not really moving a whole lot, but it is draping a front down through here, a cool front. And you'll notice the thunderstorms erupt quite readily here and sweep eastward very quickly over the next 48 hours. You'll see that in the outlooks. Meanwhile, we'll watch northern Texas here toward the end of this loop on Saturday, and you'll get some activity right there developing right along the Red River and areas on both sides of it, really. So that's another area worth watching for Saturday. Let's go through the outlooks. Here's SPC's latest outlook, which has been refreshed right before 8 a.m. Central. So 4 out of 5. So what we used to refer to as a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms, with 5 being the high risk. But this is a large area right along the Ohio River Valley and in central Mississippi River Valley areas too. Not quite including St. Louis, but close enough. Not quite including Nashville, but close enough. Certainly Louisville is in that. So a large area of severe weather risk with all modes are possible, large hail, damaging wind, tornadoes, but we can get more granular with the tornadoes, so to speak. So a 15% chance is, again, not that rare in spring, but certainly when that is issued, there is an eyebrow or two being raised. So we're really watching for a tornado threat. Again, a little more narrowly focused, but literally right along the Ohio River from southern Illinois to Louisville in that area. But a pretty broad brush of tornado possibilities, including the green, which is 2% chance within a 25-mile circle. But this goes all the way to the nation's capital, into Virginia. Pittsburgh is under that threat, but certainly the higher risk of tornadoes is confined to this area right here. And the SPC does produce this product where if they feel there's a confidence level of saying that there are stronger tornadoes, so on the higher end, EF2s to EF5s, 10% chance or greater, basically in that 15% zone. If we check SIPs, they take the severe weather threat back into Michigan, which is understandable, certainly within the SPC's outlook. SIP's tornado probability is right along, I guess you would say that's New Madrid. So anyway, southern Illinois, southeast Missouri, 5% risk there, which is less than what they have put out. But if you just put the bullseye, it's right there. And then if we go to the next map, which is the Colorado State, that bullseye for tornadoes is right there. Theirs is shifted more to the east and northeast. So, but theirs is very much in line with what SPC is forecasting for tornadoes and generally with severe weather. Let's take a look at a couple of HRRR slides. This is the way the one model run looks at 11 a.m. I'm curious about this little lone thunderstorms. It's shown up on most of the runs, but not all of them. And I live right here, so I'm just kind of watching that with curiosity. That would have the lion's share of some pretty good energy as it continues to track east today through extreme southern Missouri. So I'm watching that. This is an ongoing line of showers and storms. It actually is part of the outlook today, so there will be some severe weather just with that alone. But as you'll see in a minute, that's certainly not the only player. In fact, if we advance to 5 p.m., We're starting to see the snail trails, which are the helicity swaths. That just means that we're finding supercells. So we're finding strong updrafts with rotation that is persistent enough to show up on more than one radar scan, more than 1 hour. So you're seeing some pretty good cells in Illinois. One's crossing right around St. Louis, maybe just a little south, and crossing the Mississippi, extending all the way down. I think this area out here might be a sleeper. I think there might be more severe weather out of that central and southwestern Arkansas thunderstorm line than I think maybe some people might think. That advances through Memphis into northern Mississippi. Then we have the second band here and even a third band here. Again, we're leaving these helicity trails. So any of these could be tornado producers and severe weather producers. It looks like a very active night. This is 9 p.m. and certainly it'll keep going through the wee hours of the morning as we get deeper into Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, northern Alabama, and northern Mississippi. All right, we'll change gears to Saturday. So we have this large area of 1 out of 5 and a pretty large area of 2 out of 5 risk for Saturday. That encompasses much of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. And then there's also a part 2 to this. This is the sweeping motion that I was just showing you. So those thunderstorms will continue through the night, through Ohio, through Kentucky, through Tennessee, and they'll still be around on Saturday. A largely populated area here is Albany, New York City, our nation's capital, Philadelphia, all the way down to Raleigh, North Carolina, Norfolk, and Richmond, also in that 2 out of 5 category for risk. There is a 2% tornado risk in that area I just showed you, but I think the greater tornado risk is this area here that probably most importantly is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So there's a 5% chance of a tornado on Saturday with those reoccurring storms late in the afternoon. SIPS basically agrees with the SPC forecast almost exactly where it lays that out. The tornado risk on the CSU learning machine is a little bit higher, in north, I should say, in Oklahoma. So I'm going to keep an eye on that here. Meanwhile, all the other threats look about the same. Here's the jet stream flow according to the NAM. So there's this huge negatively tilted trough. That is going to be a big deal. But ahead of that, we have this shortwave trough that's moving through on Saturday. I think this is early in the evening, as the one I grabbed. So this is that threat area right here. So I can see why you might even want to extend that a little bit more to the north. It just depends on where the unstable air ends up. Okay, so let's change gears to Sunday. This is a rare enhanced risk, 3 out of 5 right here for a pretty large area of Kansas. So on day 3, that's saying something when the SPC pulls the trigger on that. So this is activity this is a classic dry line and a very cooperative jet stream. And this time of year, we don't really worry a whole lot anymore about returning moisture from the Gulf. The Gulf doesn't get scoured very easily in May, meaning the cold fronts don't go all the way to the Gulf and dry things out. They tend to stall over land, over southern parts of the U.S. or even central parts of the U.S., and it's really easy for that stuff to readily return, especially under this condition when low pressure is forecast to develop and strong winds at the surface will kind of draw in toward the center of that. And boy, that's a powder keg for Kansas on Sunday. It's a no-brainer for me in terms of a storm chase. I live right here, so I'll be heading that way for sure on Sunday. And that's just an easy day for me to chase and not too far away. On Sunday, again, SIPS, a broad area, kind of indicating the return of that moisture, whereas up here things have stabilized a little bit. And if we look at CSUs, their bullseye is just about where SPC has put the highest risk for tornadoes. That's the upper left-hand panel. But all modes of severe weather, including large hail, that's this one, pretty much that dot is in the exact same area. So here's the 500 millibar flow for Sunday. Another short wave comes around. Here's that negatively tilted trough, still is, and another speed maximum coming in behind it. That is going to lead us to the next series of slides. So on Monday, this is rare, 30% chance of severe storms. That's day 4. And again, that's saying something when the SPC pulls the trigger on that. So Tulsa, Oklahoma City, parts of Kansas, high risk of severe weather on Monday. Much of Missouri is under that for later on in the day. And you can just see the area for yourself. It's pretty expansive. SIPS shows the maximum a little bit more back to the west, but the CSU probabilities are very high. So here's what the SPC is saying. Here's what the CSU model is saying. Much more of Kansas is under, I think, a higher probability. And again, there's plenty of room for adjustment on this. In fact, this model is only as good as the latest data it gets. It's learning. So, yeah, but I mean, this one is a hand-produced, experienced forecast. It doesn't stop there, though. On Tuesday, we still have a large area, Arkansas and Missouri, under the gun. There, that's the epicenter of this 15% severe thunderstorm risk that we have on Tuesday. We still have, again, a pretty broad brush forecast there. The CSU model has the epicenter for severe weather in northern Arkansas, extreme southern Missouri. And you can see that's why I love this panel, because it puts the SPC forecast right there. And then finally, things on Wednesday start to settle down a little bit. It shifts more to the southeast, and it does look as if we're entering a quieter pattern. I have a blank slide here I'm going to skip past real quick because I want to get to the NIU model. So this is the supercell composite for the next week. Not surprising where that highest probability is. Then it shifts backwards, May 23rd to the 29th into the high plains in Goodland, Kansas, that kind of area, and then expands again May 30th through June 5th. We have a larger area of supercell probabilities encompassing much of the Great Plains. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day one because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.